All right, so we're at Lake Titicaca and we're approaching to the end of our trip. So we just want to reflect on our trip a little bit and share some of our experiences and thoughts.
My Peruvian experience so far has largely aligned with my expectation. The geography and landscape is probably the most unique part because we've had 4 major destinations, so from Lima to Peruvian Amazon to Cusco, and then to very unique in terms of geography. So you've got like the city, obviously, but Amazon's the rainforest, and then Lake Titicaca, and also Cusco, which is like the Andes Mountains. So very, very interesting, very different, extremely unique. So wherever you go, you will see different things.
Because of its geographical characteristics, the temperature from place to place is really drastic. For example, in Lima, we were wearing like just one layer of jacket, and when we go to Amazon rainforest, you have to wear a tank top because it was like 36 degrees Celsius. It was super humid. And when you go to Cusco, it was like 20-ish, but the temperature was really deceiving because you have to wear at least 3 or 4 layers when you're outside because of its high elevation. And we actually got really sick at Rainbow Mountain because it was super windy and the elevation was 5,000 meters.
I think also just like people are pretty nice in general. Food's good quality.
I feel like Lima is underrated because when I ask for recommendations from coworkers and friends, people rarely mention Lima as a major city to explore. I know it's the capital city of Peru, but people usually just treat it as like a transfer city to fly in and fly out. But it does have a lot to offer. I really like neighborhoods like Miraflores, Polanco. They're super vibey and like a lot of cultural and artsy stuff going on, and a lot of good food, obviously. I mean, historic center is a little sketchy, but you know, it's full of history and it's just a different vibe.
I actually couldn't agree more. Lima has definitely been a special place for us. Like you mentioned, they probably stay there overnight and then go directly to Cusco. But I think if you don't spend like at least 2 days or 3 in Lima, you'll probably be missing out. Miraflores is on the northern side, and you'll see a lot of modern architecture and residents, and also shopping mall built on the cliff, which is like very cool. And Polanco is kind of like an artsy district with a lot of murals.
So question number 2. What part of the experience you like the most? I would say one of my favorite experiences was Huacachina.
Oh.
Because it was my first time experiencing and seeing an oasis. It's like the lake in the middle and surrounded by desert. It was pretty new to me and a super unique geographical feature of the nature, I think. And boogie riding and sandboarding were so much fun. Just a lot of adrenaline going on that day. What was your experience in Huacachina?
It was great. It was also probably one of my favorites. Because personally, I went to Sois National Park in Brazil, which is kind of similar to Huacachina but different. All that being said, I have some similar experience before, but still I got a lot out of Huacachina. The boogie was crazy because the height of those sand dunes very, very high. You'll probably see in some of our vlogs, those are like some of them
it was
goes
like a
way
roller coaster.
up.
It was really crazy.
Sandboarding was also really fun because basically you're lying down like this and you go straight down. It was fun.
I would say my other favorite experience would be the Amazon tours. We did a cacao tour, Amazon shelter, and a cooking class, and also the art experience. It was super diverse experience within 2 days. And I feel like I just learned so much about the local culture and animals and plantations and all that. I was just super excited to learn new knowledge and really appreciate the educational experience.
I think, probably should have stayed in Amazon for longer because they offer so many tours. specific tours to go see specific animals. So for example, you have to go take, for example, like 3-4 hours boat to see monkeys, and then you do another 3-4 hours to go see macaws. So I feel like we definitely should have spent more time on it. One of my other favorites would say actually the old town of Cusco, especially the first day we got there.
We hadn't got
sick, so we were full of energy. It was so pretty. It was kind of like a city in China called Yunnan.
丽江古城.
Yeah, it seems like the city is full of story, and it's very walkable. Many shops selling like souvenirs, and the Plaza de Arma, which is their main plaza, is like just magnificent. The old town Cusco is definitely a must for anyone going to Peru.
Yeah, agree. It does get a little touristy and commercial over time, but it's hard to avoid as a famous city in the world because it's ancient capital of the Inca Empire. I mean, this view of Lake Titicaca is stunning. I think it's one of my favorite as well. I often go to a lot of lakes in Washington State, so I'm definitely in love with this lake. And on the other side is Bolivia, and we are on the Peruvian side. This is just gorgeous. I don't know what else I can say. It's just really peaceful and mindful being here, and especially after being sick and we just want somewhere to chill and to recover before we head back to the US.
Yeah, I think it's also mind-blowing that people in this community, they all live like on a floating island. They make the floating island out of this, like, I don't know what you call this kind of plant. Yeah, they do it in magical fashion, and now they build hotels on top of it. So it's pretty eye-opening for sure.
It's a very unique experience for sure. And we just learned that these type of architecture only lasts 40 years.
Yeah.
After that, they have to rebuild it once again. Question number 3. What surprised you the most in Peru?
I think I kind of touched on this before, but I love Peruvian food. I think a lot of them are awesome, especially the ones that we had at Lima. But as kind of like our trip progresses, I feel like my stomach at least has been craving some Asian food.
Me too.
And I think partially because I feel like the food here is slightly under the salty side.
It is very salty. It's more than flavorful.
I know, right?
I just need to drink a lot of water after having each meal.
So that definitely surprises me.
The other thing that really surprised me was that the local taxi drivers really take advantage of the tourists. So one incident that happened to us in Ollantaytambo, which is the gateway city to Machu Picchu. On our way back, we chose to not take the bus we booked because it was 2 hours later and it was already super late, and we will get to our hotel in midnight. So we just want to find a taxi and go back to Cusco really fast. And this taxi driver approached to us and he was saying, 100 soles to Cusco. And we triple check with him that is 100 soles, not $100. We heard from a lot of travelers online saying that they got scammed by not specifying the currency. So we definitely want to make sure we clarify that before we got into his car.
So it's funny that when we got to the hotel, he stopped, and when I handed the 100 soles cash bill to him, he was kind of like looking at the 100 soles bill in a almost like a condescending way and asked us to say, hey, it's 150 soles. And we were like, what the fuck, man? And we ended up paying him 150 soles because it was too late and we were both sick, and God knows what's gonna happen to us if we don't, pay him. I mean, it's not really that expensive, 150 soles from Ollantaytambo to Cusco, which is like almost
just like $40-something. It's nothing, but it's just the fact that
people are not honest.
Yeah, he wasn't being honest and he did not keep his word. Just make us really angry and mad.
Another one, which is like a major theme, and is also one of the reasons why we got sick, is the high elevation. I know that because Peru has territories in the Andes, and that's like pretty high up in terms of elevation, but we still feel like pretty sick, even though we were well prepared. I feel like because we actually prepared the altitude sickness pills. We prepared stuff like Tylenol, like other medications. But given all that preparation, we still got pretty uncomfortable. So I think I will highly suggest anyone to pre-prepare. And in terms of choosing your day tour, try to not schedule like 2 or 3 consecutive tours, especially when you're in Cusco. Because each day tour, for example, the one to Rainbow Mountain, one way would take you probably, I don't know, like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And then you have to hike for
another
like 2 or 3 hours.
Oh yeah.
During the
round trip
in the high elevation area, and then 3 or 4 hours back. So that's like pretty intense. And immediately after that day, we had to go to Machu Picchu because that's how we planned our schedule.
It was too packed.
I know.
Those 2 days, and it was too intense, and that's why we got sick. Casey had really severe altitude sickness reaction, but I was okay. I got cold because Rainbow Mountain, it was really windy and I didn't bring enough layers, so we have different sickness, I guess. So last question, number 4, what would you plan differently for our trip? Sort of circling back to what we just talked about Rainbow Mountain and Machu Picchu, I would highly suggest going to Machu Picchu before Rainbow Mountain, because we did the opposite and it was a mistake, because Machu Picchu is located around like 2,000-ish meters, which is
2,800 something.
Yeah, it's lower than Cusco. So if you are getting used to Cusco already, it wouldn't be a big problem for you to go to Machu Picchu right away. Whereas Rainbow Mountain, it's going up gradually to 5,000 meter if you end up going up to the top. So it was super intense. I felt really short of breath at the end of my hike, and I also got sick from the coldness and the wind.
I think the point you're trying to make is like go to the most important thing first, student energy. Because like, at least in my opinion, Rainbow Mountain was killing me. And Rainbow Mountain is perhaps the highest elevation among all the places around Cusco. So if you still want to have some energy for Machu Picchu, or if you want to prioritize Machu Picchu and, you know, check that box first, I think do that will be smarter, because Rainbow Mountain is like, it's great, but it's not Machu Picchu.
It's still pretty
great, right? I mean,
it's
for
still
you
pretty.
It's great. I didn't even get to see the top.
I know. I'm sorry about that. So yeah, definitely do like this. So going up gradually, and don't push yourself out of limit, and just, you know, try one step at a time and see where your limit is at. And if you feel really uncomfortable, just stop there.
Yeah. Oh, one more tip: when you choose day tours, do your research and look at the kind of amenities it offers. Because our tour guide to Rainbow Mountain, he was like super amazing, super professional. He even brought like you know, oxygen tank and you know, the thing that detects your oxygen level, your blood. He was like very comprehensive in packing, so that's why I survived. So you definitely follow, you know, go with someone who is professional, who knows the area. And another point I want to make in terms of what to plan differently is, I think the plan we've had is going from Lima for a couple of days, and then Amazon to Cusco, and then to Lake Titicaca, which I feel like we already emphasized the point that Cusco being the toughest part. And I think now looking back, I feel like almost if we had reversed the itinerary by going to Cusco first, I think we'll probably be at more energy than right now, you know, because even if you got like uncomfortable in Cusco or altitude sickness, whatever happened. And I think Amazon, it depends on the tours you take, right? Some boat tours, seeing the animals and whatever tours, I think wouldn't be the end of the world. So Amazon is kind of like dependent on your preference. It could get intense, but it won't be intense if you don't want it to be that way. But Cusco is like, there's no way. Everyone's gonna experience that, you know, Machu Picchu and whatnot. and you can save Lima at your last stop. So you can spend, a couple days in Lima just to enjoy the food, nice hotel and wandering around the neighborhoods. And I think that will be a nice way to wrap up your trip while you're recovering or, chilling. And I think that will probably overall be a better. And I think even though we've spent about 2 weeks in Peru and our trip has been pretty comprehensive in general, but there's still places that we have explored, because there's some hikers that will go to, I don't even know the name. There's a mountain area which is 600 something in elevation, which is the highest. People love to go there for hiking that place, and there's some other alpine lakes.
I think Arequipa is the city we have to remove from itinerary, because that's the most Spanish influenced city, right? Basically, its architecture is all Spanish and European influence during the colonial period.
It's also the second biggest city in Peru, and it has a lot of architecture made of the volcano ashes, because there are a lot of volcano activity going on around the city. So that's why a lot of the buildings are actually white or whitish, lighter color. So it should be pretty unique. And I've heard some of the people online who went there before to say that Arequipa was actually their favorite. So really sad that we didn't go, but just want to say that there's tons to offer in Peru. Just save your energy, plan strategically. Hopefully you learn from our experience.
And I just noticed that one place we did not mention at all is Machu Picchu. What do you think of Machu Picchu?
I definitely think Machu Picchu itself meets my expectation. The view and the structure, the historical importance, and how it looks is not at how it has been advertised. And it's also just magnificent to see it in person. Because the mountains surrounding it, it's really, really high. And suddenly you see almost a village-ish structure in the middle. Extremely unique. Also just beautiful. But I do also want to mention that the reason that I emphasize Machu Picchu itself is because transportation associated with Machu Picchu, I didn't really enjoy that part. Because in order to get to Machu Picchu, you can either do that Inca trail, which is 40 something
3 nights
kilometers, and you have to spend a couple days, or us, because we're short on time, we did a 1-day tour. They're basically the only way in is you take 2 hours of bus to go from Cusco to Ollantaytambo, and you then take a train, which is an hour and 40 minutes from Ollantaytambo to Agua Caliente. And from Agua Caliente, in order to get to the actual Machu Picchu, you have to take a 30 minutes of bus that going zigzag, mountain road to get to the top. So there are 3 segments of transportation one way.
And the round trip is 6 transportation in total.
Right.
I didn't enjoy that part either.
I know.
It was too tiring.
What's more is that because we went with a transportation company, Inca Rail, I feel the service, or the plan, we bought an all-inclusive package, so it include quote-unquote snacks and also the Machu Picchu entrance tickets, which is very convenient, but everything is almost timed too closely to each other. So
and we didn't have time to eat
I know,
until
right?
4 o'clock
that
when we
is
get out
crazy.
From Machu Picchu. Everything was too rushed, and I just feel like we are going somewhere all the time. And up until Machu Picchu, we can finally slow down to learn about history and construction and all that stuff. And the tour guide was like, "Oh, this is the best spot to take photos, and that's the final one. Make sure you take your photos." The whole thing is just very rushed.
Yeah, it's a little bit transactional.
I would say that, yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's it feels like they have tons of experience, getting travelers to Machu Picchu and also efficiently guide them within the structure. But I think there is, in my opinion, a lack of like human touch, like just knowing that people came all the way from wherever city and they need to take a break and they need to grab like food or anything. Yeah, but with all that being said, I just want to, don't get us wrong. Machu Picchu is awesome. It's fantastic. Definitely highly recommend if you've never gone before, and it's like worth the hype and worth everything is exactly what you are expecting. But the things that surrounding Machu Picchu, not as good. So just be prepared, bring your snack, plan strategically, I think you'll be fine.
So that will be the end of our share for this time. It's getting really dark here and it's getting more chilly. So we're gonna head inside.
Right.
See you guys later.
Bye-bye.